Okay, today we're going to learn about how to make and use different thickening agents. The first thickening agent we're going to talk about is roux. Roux is made out of 50% flour, 50% butter, and they generally use clarified butter. When you clarify butter, what you do is you melt it down very slowly. This is what melted butter would look like traditionally. This is clarified butter. Clarified butter has all of the impurities skimmed off the top and out of the bottom. They remove the water and any of the impurities, so all you're left with is the pure butter fat. The reason they use clarified butter is because it doesn't caramelize your roux as fast as regular butter does. When you're using clarified butter, you want to make sure you're using unsalted butter, because if you use salted butter, it concentrates the amount of salt that's in the butter, so it makes a saltier roux. There are three different classifications of roux that we're going to talk about. The classical types of roux are a white roux, which is just stirred together and then cooked for a very short period of time. There is a blonde roux, which is cooked a little bit longer and starts to caramelize. And then there is a brown roux, which is cooked even longer, and it actually has a nutty aroma and gives a very good full-bodied flavor to your sauce or your soup or your stew, whichever it is that you might be using. Now, when you're using the roux, what you're going to be doing is, if you have a hot roux, you can take cool liquid and whisk it into your hot roux, but you can't do hot roux and hot liquid. If you have a hot liquid, you could take a cool roux, like at room temperature, and whisk it into your hot liquid. But if you do hot and hot or cold and cold, then you'll end up with lumps. You want to make sure that you cook it to the desired color that you need for your recipe. The white roux is used traditionally for white sauces or soups. So if you're going to make a New England clam chowder and you want to thicken it, you'd use a white roux. If you would make a bechamel sauce, which is one of the mother sauces, you would use a white roux also. The blonde roux would be used for blonde colored soups, sauces, and stews. So anything that might be a chicken based soup that you would want to thicken, or if you're going to make a velouté out of fish stock or chicken stock, you would use a blonde roux. The brown roux would traditionally be used for an espagnole sauce or darker soups and stews made with beef. You can also do a dark brown roux, which is used traditionally just in Cajun Creole cooking, which is even darker than the brown roux. Some other thickening agents that you can use are a beurre Meunier, which is nothing more than just a raw version of the roux. It's still the equal proportions of fat and flour, but you just mix it together with the back of a fork. And then what you can do is you just fleck this into your pan as you're finishing your sauce at the end to give it the desired consistency. The downfall of using this is the fact that none of the starch has been cooked out of it yet. So you have to cook your sauce a little bit longer to cook that starchy flavor out of the flour. Slurries are also often used in the commercial kitchen. This is an example of a cornstarch slurry, but as you can see on the top of the glass, it looks fairly clear, and then it gets milky as it goes to the bottom. And from here down, you can see that there's a solid white line. What happens to slurries is the starch will actually settle out over time, so you can't hold them very well to use them for a la minute cooking. You would have to re-whisk this together to get it to the point where you would want to be able to use it. Here is what they look like after they have been cooked. So you can see the difference between a flour slurry and how milky it looks in color, and a cornstarch slurry. So you can see how clear it is and how shiny it would be in comparison to the flour slurry. Now, there are different slurries that you can use. There's arrowroot, there's different types of flours, potato flour, rice flour, that you could use, and they all have